Welcome to episode 62 of Enter the Mind podcast, the most real talk, no nonsense podcast on the empowering of the mind. This week's episode will be about positive energy spirals. Before we get to that, Kyra, how's it going?
Going well. I'm headed out to California this weekend, San Fran, because I have a funeral to go to, but I'm super excited because I'm going to be seeing, my friend who died, I'm going to be seeing his best friend and his girlfriend, whom I haven't seen in so long. So I'm really excited to see them.
Great, and I'm
How's
sorry
it going
to hear.
on your end? Thank you.
Yeah, sorry to hear about your friend.
Thank you.
Yeah, it'll be good to connect though with the other folks there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good. I'm at a conference right now this week in Vegas, hence the background. And yeah, this is sort of the inspiration for the topic this week because it's a high octane environment. I mean, there's a lot of people here, a lot of CEOs, a lot of CFOs, COOs. It's an executive conference. So there's a lot of people to meet. There's a lot going on. There's multiple sessions each day, breakout sessions that, you can only go to one. There's a huge exhibit hall of vendors that there's not enough time to talk to all of them. So it's really kind of a good training ground to be efficient, I think. And to me, it's like a reminder of the importance of regulating your energy flow, right? Because the question is, how do you have more energy? I think that one way people, if you poll 100 people and you ask them, what's one thing you can do to increase your energy? People are going to say, get more sleep. They're going to say, take, what else? Oh, have some coffee, drink caffeine. But nobody's going to say you need to really clean up and manage your energy flow. And to me, I think that's the answer. And so what I mean when I say energy spirals, positive energy spirals, is that when you accomplish something, there's a release of dopamine in your brain. It makes you feel good, makes you feel happy, and it leads you to take more action. This is from the book, The Winner Effect, the neuroscience of success and failure, I believe is the subtitle. And this concept, when you apply it, it's so strong. Now, here's where it's going to go wrong, is when something that most people would consider negative happens. That is the testing ground right then and there. You're being tested, right? And some people, especially some very religious people would say, God is testing you. And that's not a bad thought. That's actually a very good reframe. That's a very good cognitive reframe for when a negative event happens, for you to say, okay, I'm being tested, but it doesn't matter. If you don't believe in God, then you just say the universe is testing you, right? And so I go through my day now watching to see every moment where I'm being tested, and I pass that test with flying colors. And the way that I pass it is that I see the hidden benefit in that situation, or I learn from it, right? In these sessions that I'm going to, if I'm sitting listening to a presentation and the person has this PowerPoint and it's just all words, it's all text, which that's an obvious no-no, right? People don't want to read lines of text. People want to see a picture and hear you tell a story. That's how you do a good presentation. And so I see these slides full of text and I'm like, oh my gosh, right? Now, in the past, that would cause me to have a contraction, an energy contraction, right? And be like, oh, come on, they should have done a better job on this, right? But what's the effect on my energy? I'm wasting energy on that negative thought, and it pulls me down. It pulls me out of what could have been a positive spiral. So what I'm doing instead is I sit in that session and I just, as soon as I have the thought, immediately within seconds, I'm writing a notes, good reminder, use photos in your PowerPoints this is a reminder to myself. And so I just upgraded my approach to life. I just upgraded my systems, and that just doing that releases dopamine in my brain. And so now I'm feeling good at something that otherwise would have made me feel crappy. And that's how I create this positive energy spiral. And it's just these last couple of days, I've just been unstoppable. I'm so excited about this concept because everybody can do it. It's so accessible to every single person out there. To just, as soon as a negative event happens, you just invert it, boom, you turn it around, you see the positive in it, you celebrate the positive, you fix whatever's wrong if something needs to be fixed, but you don't dwell on it. You fix it, move on, and that fix is an accomplishment that releases dopamine. And so no matter what's happening, if a positive event happens, dopamine. If a negative event happens, you fix it, and then you get the dopamine. And so no matter what happens in life, it's just boom, 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 this upward spiral. And it's just, that's what's on my mind this week. So I know I said a lot, but I'll pass it to you and hear your thoughts on this.
That was very well said, Robert. I can tell that you're very passionate about this topic and you've been thinking about it and you've been super excited to share. You just blew me away. That was amazing. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I completely agree. I'm trying to think of, times when like a negative spiral, like a negative thought comes along, and I switch it around, but I really like your tactic for putting it on yourself. Because when I guess it's not something that I entirely think of all the time. Like, if somebody's really fucking annoying me and like, maybe they're not catching the hint that I don't want to fucking talk right now, maybe, chances are I'll probably just walk away and, fix my energy somewhere else. Like I'll go talk to somebody else, who's better energy. There are so many things to do in so many different situations, but, even though that person, this is just an example, but even though that person was talking my ear off and was not letting me, I just like, holy shit, shut the fuck up. I can tell when other people want me to shut the fuck up, but I refuse to shut the fuck up, So like that would be something that I wouldn't be taking into my own, like, oh, note to self, like don't talk people's ear off because it's probably really fucking annoying. But, that can definitely go. And that I have put that into my piggy bank because, it's nice to let other people talk, number one. Number two, it's amazing to hear other people talk and hear the ideas that are going on in their head on the same topic as you. I mean, it's gold, like to put your ideas together, it's a mastermind. But, so in that respect, yes, I do make sure that I don't talk people's ear off. But even when that boundary comes and I can feel that people don't want me talking to them, if I have something important to say that could help them, I'm going to push, and I'm going to push. And that's another note that I've taken, from somebody when they pushed me, and I was like, stop talking to me. But they had to give me this piece of, gold. They had to give me this piece of, good information or advice, they had to, even though they felt my boundary saying, please stop talking to me, and in the end, it turns out good. So I like that there's, kind of like multiple situations, I guess. Because, when we have tactics, and methods, proven factual methods, by natural law to keep us in a positive mood and a positive mode and the momentum and everything. But there are so many different which ways to do it that you have to figure them out yourself. And you have to sort of go through the experience yourself so you can see what you're taking. And you can see what note you're writing to yourself, and you can sort of work that clockwork in your brain and then understand every part of your movement, which in turn turns into self-awareness, and you start to like yourself more, which is dopamine.
Yeah, and I think that this really gets at the thing that I've always enjoyed myself, which is just the act of living. Like the art of living is just always been an activity for me. And I feel like this is it, right? It's not, oh, what do I do in life? I go to conferences, I go to my job, I do this or that. And like, no, I'm monitoring my mind. I'm like, I'm doing psychology, right? That's why I studied it. And unfortunately, in college, everybody teaching psychology is not doing psychology because they're not out there fighting the battles every single day, which is their mind versus the world versus, whatever. And then it's funny, you have these psychology professors that they, don't get me wrong, they do have their skills and can be very knowledgeable, but you don't hear psychology professors talking about, and then I had this negative thought and here's how I turned it around about it. They're like, well, 30% of traumatized people have negative thoughts and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, well, you're just telling me facts about other people who have negative thoughts, but let's see you not talk about basketball. Let's see you take your 3-point shot and sink it from behind the 3-point line. That's what I want to see. Let's see some slam dunks here. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes. I absolutely adore that because, it's number one, it's very, very true. And I think that there's even a dopamine released in your brain. I think, I'm not sure, but it just came in my brain. The dopamine, I think, can also come from watching somebody else talk, but then also watching them do, because I feel like that's like something on you and it's like, oh, yay, like they did it. And so it's like you're releasing, the dopamine, because, like when I hear my friends maybe talk about like a new business idea that they want to do, and then I see them performing it, I'm like, wow. Fuck yeah, man. And it releases that dopamine. So I feel like there are so many ways throughout life to release dopamine. And when your friends are winning, that's one of the ways. Because when your friends are winning, it means you're about to win, baby. It's literally natural law. So like the people who maybe are listening and maybe have a little bit of trouble when like you're not doing as well, maybe you're not in that positive energy spiral like your friend is, so maybe you get, I don't know, maybe you feel a little bad about yourself, or you're like, I should be doing more, or you just kind of have like these negative thoughts and you kind of start to go down, maybe do what Robert said, number one, and write down, talk and act, it's okay to talk, but then I have to act. And number two, it's going to do you so much more good. You do not have to feel bad about yourself because your friend is doing better in life than you. Your time is going to come, number one. Number two, if your friends are winning, you are winning and your win is coming soon. So it's going to give you that really upward energy spiral if you're happy for them. And it may even inspire you to your business idea that just so happens to be a win that was energetically handed to you by your friend. So there are so many ways to stay in that upward energy spiral throughout the day. And I'm going to pass it to you, but I wanted to touch base on the elongation of upward energy spiral, on the consistency of it. What do our listeners do when, they've been in an upward energy spiral for 2 weeks? Amazing, doing fucking great, but what happens when they sort of fall? How can we stay up in that energy spiral? That's something that I want to touch base on. If you have anything to say about what I said.
Yeah, well, I think the answer to that is it's how you frame the fall. So the pitfall would be you're on this upward energy spiral and something negative happens and oh, come on, I was on this upward spiral for 2 weeks. And right. And what is that at the level of energy? What is that behavior? That is resistance to reality. And I've talked about it in previous episodes of viewing reality as God. And I know it's sort of a loaded term, whatever, it has certain connotations, but it's just understanding reality as like the all-powerful almighty, right? And so the worst thing you can do in life is to resist it, right? Because you're not gonna change it. You're not gonna change the past, and you're not, right? So you mentioned two things, two thoughts, this thought of I should be doing more and, I should be doing as good as this other person over here. And I have this new concept that I want to share today, which I guess is sort of a take on the concept of excess potential from Reality Transurfing by Vadim Zeland. But I just keep thinking about this concept of a bubble, right? So if the flat surface is reality, anytime a bubble forms, right, it goes like this, right? You have this bubble that is growing farther and farther away from reality, right? And the farther and farther it goes from reality, the easier it is, like the closer it is to being broken, to the bubble bursting. And what's interesting is that you see this concept of bubble in many different situations. You see it in economics with the housing bubble, where houses, the value of them is just inflated so much beyond what they're actually worth. And when that inflated meaning or an inflated value happens, it's a departure from reality and it's going to cause a crash. Now, that's economics. I think the same happens at the level of psychology. Because I was sitting in this session yesterday, right? And the two presenters that were giving their presentation, they looked a little nervous. And I kind of just wondered what was going on in their mind. And what if they had this sort of idea that, you know, oh, I hope I don't make a fool of myself in front of everybody, or, you know, I feel, you know, so much pressure of people watching and everything. And in a way, if they're overestimating how much people are going to judge them, then that is an energy bubble in their mind, right? It's an inflation, it's an overinflation. And so I have a new concept, and I wrote this down this morning. My goal for today is to live at a zero inflation energy level, right? So every moment that I go throughout the day, if I'm going to the back of the conference room to go get a cup of coffee, I'm not going there thinking, oh, I hope there's still coffee left. I write all of these inflated sort of non-realities. I'm just like, well, I think there's coffee there. Let's go get some coffee and see if it's there. If it's not, I'll find it somewhere else. But you see, you feel that sort of even keel steadiness to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not this overinflation. It's not these inflated bubbles of energy. And I think that by monitoring our energy better and like keeping it at avoiding those bubbles, avoiding the inflation, I think we can really kind of clean up our own psychology and our own being and our own energy. Like and again, that's the activity of living. I think it's just living in a clean way. Our energy system is clean. Does that make you think of any examples, or does that resonate at all?
It definitely does, because that's actually something that I practiced before. Because when I was younger, I used to have these crazy like ups and downs. And, I used to have crazy anger issues. Like I would punch like metal walls and stuff. And then like an hour later, I'd be happy again. And people, I guess, made me feel bad about that. They made me feel bad about my super high highs, and they made me feel bad about my super low lows, as if, that's not the way to live. And so for a while, I went with the sort of that steady, level-headed ground, and I wouldn't get too excited about something, and I wouldn't get too angry about something, and I wouldn't focus on any one thing. And that hurt me a lot because I stopped expressing my emotions. And I think that expressing emotions is something that is very important. Like if you're really fucking mad, I really believe that it's not a bad thing. I think that it's just your emotions. It shows your passion, and it shows what is really focused and on your heart. So in a way, that positive energy spiral can also be with your up and down emotions. And that's what I like about the upward spiral, because the upward spiral is life. The upward spiral is handling life and going along with life. And in life, yes, everybody feels doubt. Everybody. Everybody gets angry. Everybody gets caught in their head sometimes. You are human. You're not some fucking metal robot, man. Like you're a human, and it's okay to get angry and it's okay to get upset. But what I like about the steadiness that Robert was talking about is that you can still ride the highs and lows of your emotions. But Robert is completely right in a context to, going to get a cup of coffee. Why do we need to be sitting there stressing so hard about a fucking cup of coffee? Because when you're stressing so hard, then say the coffee isn't there, right? So you're already in a bad mood. And then you're like, all right, well, there's only fucking 15 minutes left before the next seminar. I can't get a coffee, So that can go down. But the good news about that going down is that, you will come back up. And when you come back up, you talk to that, and you say, why did I act like that? I just fucked up my whole morning. And chances are, when you're in a calmer mind state, you'll come back to the steady flow and you'll think, yeah, I could have walked to the coffee knowing that there is a 50-50 chance that there might not be coffee. There's a lot of people here. It is a seminar, there's so many people here, there might not be coffee, and I understand that. But you know what? I got 15 minutes left. So if there's no coffee here, then I'm going to run really quick and I'm going to get one and I'm going to make it back on time. So you kind of make a little plan in your head. And even when you're low and you're kind of the angry person that I just explained, even when you come back to your high, that sequence of events will come back into your mind and you will think about how you could have done it better. And so I know I said a lot, but I thought that was great.
Definitely. I think you make a great point about embracing and accepting your emotions. And I think part of that is expressing them. And I've always thought you were very expressive with your emotions. And I've always liked that, in you.
Thanks.
Because it's congruent, it's on the other hand, it's when somebody is clearly feeling upset, but they're kind of like, I'm fine. It's like, it's weird. You know what I mean? It's like, are you sure? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm fine. Like, and it's like,
you sure?
And so, with this new psychology, approach that I've talked about in this episode, I think that the way I would analyze that is I would ask, well, how much energy are they expending by resisting their very own emotion? The energy wants to be expressed, and they're holding it in the way you would hold in the flow of a fire hose, the water, and that creates pressure, right? And so here we have a melding of physics and psychology, and this is, to me, this is the gold mine all systems should integrate. All disciplines, psychology, economics, physics, right? This is the big payoff here. And but to get back to your, and I'll probably make this my closing thought for the day. You raised this good question, which is it okay to be angry? Is it okay to express your anger? And is it okay to, experience these feelings? I think the answer is yes, you have to, because it's part of reality. And so you would be fighting, resisting, or ignoring reality if you kind of pushed it away, or if you fought it, and if you're like, oh man, how come I always get angry like this? I shouldn't be angry, right? So the key there is to understand there's two layers of emotion. There's a primary emotion, and then there's a meta emotion. So there's an emotion that you feel about the first emotion, right? So you might feel sad, and then you're going to feel maybe pissed off that you're sad, or you might feel happy, but then you're going to be terrified that you're happy because it's not going to last, and you're thinking, oh, what's going to go wrong next? And so the human mind is complex, and we have these different layers. But what I would propose is, like, what if we could what if we embraced every single emotion that passed through our energy systems, but we kind of kept maybe a stable meta emotion, right? And as we observe these emotions, man, I'm really angry right now, but I'm okay with that, because I know it's not forever, it's temporary, it's an emotion, and every emotion is temporary. But man, I'm really angry right now, it's like, right? Or man, I'm super happy right now. And to me, that's really deep stuff, because that's becoming okay with permanence. And the ultimate truth about our existence is that our existence is impermanent, right? We are born on this planet. We will die on this planet. We are visitors of planet Earth. And so we have to resonate with that. What are you doing?
Just being a visitor here on Earth.
Yeah. I mean, it's true though. I mean, right? Like,
yeah, no, I love it. I love it.
Close us out with your final thoughts for the day.
Okay, I guess my final thoughts would be, I mean, yeah, man, I think that the best way to stay in a positive mindset is to really just ride the fucking waves of life. Like, you're not a bad person because you get angry. You know, is Tony Robbins a bad person because he gets angry? No, he's a fucking human and he gets angry sometimes, you know, and people get sad. Celebrities get sad. Singers and actors and actresses, they get sad. They get angry. They get depressed. They get anxiety. But you know what else they get? They get joy. They get pleasure. They get happiness. They get all of the same things that we do. And I guess the key to the upward energy spiral is to just make sure that you're always, you know, facing reality, accepting your emotions, and, you know, writing down little notes along the way. Because when you write down those little notes, they release dopamine, and the dopamine wants more dopamine. So then you'll be hungry for some dopamine. And it's just, it's great. You know, the upward spiral of life is really just reality, and really just facing reality, and you know, working with your everyday emotions, working with the things that happen around you on a daily basis, and then working on your inner work and things like that, because you know, that's what life is. It's so beautiful. So do we want to come up with a power question?
Yeah, the one on my mind for today would be, sort of at any moment in the day, you could ask yourself, what's happening at the level of energy right now? Am I experiencing an energy bubble? Am I inflating, you know, meaning here? You know, am I on a spiral upward? Am I on a spiral downward? Did I just crash? Like, think deeply about what's happening at the invisible level of your energy, because it's there, you know, just like gravity's here, right? There is an energy system constantly flowing. And which way is it flowing? Is it flowing, you know, abundantly? Are you constraining it? You know, all of that stuff. What about you?
I love that. I think that that's a brilliant question. I also want to say before we go, I really like the energy bubble. I really, 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 really like that example. I think that it's easy to grasp in the mind.
Yeah, totally. And I want to make sure, again, I give fair credit to Vadim Zeland from Reality Transurfing. I highly recommend the book. I'll put a link in the description so you guys can check it out. He definitely uses the term excess potential. I don't know if he uses the term bubble. So I don't know if that's my term or if that's, you know, Vadim Zeland's term, but definitely an original thought from myself, I believe, is the tying in of the multidisciplinary approach, economic bubble, right? And all this stuff. And then you can even look at inflation as an economic phenomenon as well as a psychological phenomenon. So it's all tying together, which is madness. All right, I think that's all we got for today. I gotta run. So thank you all for watching. This was episode 62. If you enjoyed this, then please share your love by hitting the like button. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment. If you're watching or listening on a podcast platform, then go ahead and write a review, share it with your friends, post it to social media, so that we can grow and you know, impact more lives. I look forward to seeing everybody next week in episode 63. And until then, yeah, think deeply about your psychology, and may you be successful in life.